a group session after almost, I would say, 25 sessions. But yes, it is good to help you. Even in the second chapter, we have couple of verses devoted to this guna, but and also in the 14th and the 15th chapter in detail, and it explains the entire material universe and its activities. So we will go briefly. This is from the another two text which explains directly in relationship to the mind. And so yes, let us go in a very uh, directly into the gunas and see how this guna makes the things worse, destroys everything, and also makes everything. So I'm not revealing the name, but I give you a how the karma yoga in the self effort with reference to the guna works. So this Mike is a professor in a university, and he found Misa, you say, in another university who is also a professor. And Mike is very well known to me for the last almost 15-20 years, and he had an intense desire to marry. No doubt, desire to marry, obviously, it has to do with the Rajoguna. So, but he has to wait for almost 12 years. He struggled a bit, he got a job, and then he found this Misa. They started talking. So, in one of the conversation, you see how the karma yoga works and how these three guna works, and then we will briefly touch upon this one. Anyhow, they started talking, and they had the Misa wanted to support her two siblings, one younger brother and sister, until they become independent, because Misa's father is not able to support with the finances. So they talked, and Mike ultimately discussed with me. I said, "This is wonderful," and let her support. No, my dad is objecting to it. I said, "You have to take your decision." They are from India. So obviously, parents always interfere in every affairs. That is a very natural pattern. Now it has changed, but until now, you have a family bond, you have what we say, a joint family or unit family, etc., etc. So ultimately, he discussed with the dad, and he said, "I refuse your suggestion. I'm going to marry her." Anyhow, so first is the Rajoguna, but now you have to understand that Misa was in the mode of a contributor because she wanted to help her siblings. So she is not a consumer. So the moment he said to me, I did not disclose because he does not know all those principles. So I said, "You must go for it." Why I said must? Because if any individual is a contributor, even in the family, even out of the attachment, obviously he or she is going to contribute to your life also. They haven't that attitude. But if you don't have that attitude, you just want to grab and take and attach, then obviously you will have some problem here and there in the future also. So we look examinations. The majority of my students in India, they got married when they asked me, here is a girl and here is a boy. Here is a picture. So I used to ask a few questions and I said, go ahead. Anyhow, now the parents thought of a plan through their friends who convinced the Mike to ask what will happen if you, after the marriage, where all your finances will go. So when you are a contributor, you simply refuse this idea, because that is an idea of a consumer and this is totally an idea of a contributor. And this happened last week. And he did not tell me. His older brother, Mike's older brother, he is also my student, so he told me this thing happened. So when he discussed with Mesa, all the dating stopped, and she said no. She said no. I'm contributing, and you know that once they are independent, everything belongs to you. So when I'm a consumer, my mind always looks for outer material objects. I don't see that she is such a great contributor. She wants to shoulder her responsibility about siblings when her father is not able to. That is. So it means Mesa had a very deep impression of the Satoguna. And this guy, the Mike, was dwindling, was like a seesaw. He discussed with me, he went into the Satoguna and he agreed to his parents' friend. He went to the Rajoguna, and there is always a clash of Rajo and Satoguna. So there was a clash, and ultimately then now his older brother talked to me. I said, he asked me, is it possible? I said, yes, it is possible. When you are in a higher level of Rajoguna, you have to move to a Satoguna by asking forgiveness, by being very humble. You have to show and prove that you are going to move into the Satoguna. And that is what I will tell you what happens in the future. He just talked me day before yesterday. We don't recognize these attitude in the mind. Rather, we say, okay, what you do, where is your education, how much you earn, what's your business. Our main focus remains on the Rajoguna and the Tamoguna. Nowhere we find Satoguna is active. Now look at, just observe how all those masters observe. He had an intense desire to marry. It took him to reach to this stage after 12 years he got a job, he is settled, and then teachers in universities in India get a very good salary. Very good salary. Sometimes much more than American standard. Very good salary. Because they have to work hard. He has to wait for 12 years. Why? Because the Rajoguna was highly active. He had undergone a lot of financial difficulties. So the Rajoguna normally becomes active. No, I have to settle myself. So that changed his attitude. So he always likes to perceive everything with the Rajoguna. And that always causes a lot of problems in our personal, professional, and social life. Even waited after 12 years, he got a chance and he missed the chance. He missed the chance of a person who is a great contributor, who is living with the Satoguna. So I told his older brother, do you see that this girl who is a great contributor, it means she is going to contribute naturally to your brother's life. I should have realized this. Leave aside the wealth. Wealth will come and go. Money will come and go. But Satoguna, to have that strong attitude of the Satoguna, you can find in rare cases. That devotion, that commitment will also be towards your brother. And that will make a good family. That will make a good family. So I thought that you can understand. So that's why I explained. Now, I will tell you, I will report you back once they come back to me. If they don't come back, it's okay, it's their problem. I'm not. So now we're talking about uh, this gunas. I gave you a brief of this. These gunas are always working all the time. So, how we arrived at understanding that three gunas makes us makes that ego, which is also known as reflected consciousness, which is known as the individual self, and it is because of the three gunas that false I or the ego has millions and millions of shades in the colors. I think I discussed about it that I-ness, I am upset in the morning, happy in the afternoon, and so on. So almost this I undergoes 1000 changes. How come? The answer is because of the gunas, three gunas. So here comes the two options. One option of the three gunas comes from my past life, my past impression, plus the existing personality type and the habits. And second second type of these three guna undergoes a change because of my self effort. I'm into the journey of Eastern wisdom, I'm into the journey of the self discovery. So even if the past impressions are negative, they create an unfavorable situation. Because of this self effort, I can manage it, I can withstand it, I can succeed with flying colors depending on the level of intensity. Again, I'm adding another thing. What level of a seeker I am. If the past impression belongs to the creating a negative situation, and now the self effort is there, and the intensity of seeking, I'm a very higher level of a seeker. I can instantly recognize this is what is happening, and I can find a solution. On the other side of the past impressions have positive side of it. It is creating a favorable situation. I am a higher level of a seeker. Then what happens? The seeker progresses very fast. Progresses. So these are many permutation and the combinations. That is what Krishna also discusses in detail in many chapters, but including in this also mm, in the second chapter. Now see that origin of this entire journey that is explained in other texts. It starts with the three I. First is the ignorance, second is the impurity, third is the false I. Out of the ignorance, I make an effort. I want to get rid of my suffering, stress, struggle, fulfillment of a desire. I'm summarizing it what we have done. Now, here when we say, so it means mostly every human being is suffering from these three I's: ignorance, impurity, and this false I. A sense of false I wants to struggle. Sometimes it struggles in a sattvic way, sometimes it struggles in a rajasic way, sometimes it struggles in a tamasic way. He gets frustrated, he keeps lying on the bed, he goes into a depression, and then he has an imagined wealth. So those tamasic people do not want to work, but they want to have everything in their life. So, and you see that in the Rajasic, they are hyperactive. They want to react, they want to agitate themselves, they want to push themselves, they want to excite themselves. And in order to live at the higher level of energy, they can do any damn thing. But if that is the Rajasic and Tamasic guna mix. But if the Rajasic and Sato gunas mix is there, In the individuals, they become great entrepreneurs, businessmen, scientists, researchers. They are not aware of that, but Rajasic Guna also helps. But it is supported by the Satoguna. So your focus is only in one direction. Like Einstein and Edison, we categorize them into Rajasic Satoguna type. But here we are talking of self discovery. Self discovery. So here we say that the practice with understanding is very important. Had this guy understood that this girl is a great contributor, I don't want to miss. Let me miss all the wealth. His life would have been better. Money can come and go. Who cares? You can lose everything and it can come back. Satoguna doesn't come so easily. And you are naturally gifted with that. We always should love to live with those people. You should always have a company of those people who are a great contributor in any way. Contributor to your family, to the nation, to the society. So that understanding is required. If the understanding is not required, then what happens? Then we continue to suffer. We make a lot of effort and still we don't achieve anything, neither the peace of the mind nor the wealth. So here comes the conventional method, or what is known as the karma yoga. So I have to change my attitude by connecting, contributing, and being grateful at each level in my personal life, at the professional life, at the social life. It's a huge topic. It will take maybe 5-10 sessions. That's why I covered in 25 group sessions. So there are two ways of purifying the mind. One is the conventional method, should continue until the death. Even the person is enlightened. I already gave an example of my master. After enlightenment, he continued that contribution for more than 53 years. And we are continuing his legacy. I contribute something and other people contribute and we continue that legacy. So this is a conventional methods of purification of the mind. Another best method of purification of the mind is the self-inquiry. That is what is all about Gita. Self-inquiry. Where is that self-inquiry? One undergoes through a self-analysis, studies his and her behavior, makes changes to his lifestyle consciously based on analysis, understanding of one's behavior, educates himself about the working of the mind, its tricks and its habit, and learns directly. That is what we have started doing. Self-inquiry simply means that I have to think about who am I, and from there, what is preventing me, what is the individual self, what is the real self, where is the supreme self. And I think I have repeated many times how these 6 chapters each cover these 3 main topics. So we skip that now. Now we will come to teachings of the another master. He says, impurities of the mind. There are 2 pairs and one is the trio. 2 pairs, likes and dislikes, that is first pair. Second pair, ego and the selfishness. Here in the case of the mind, he became selfish and he boosted his ego. Before the contributor, he may be a beggar, but he is a contributor. Your ego and the selfishness is going to be defeated. Do whatever you want to do. That we do not understand, and then we try to raise our ego. We feel as if we have cheated, we have deceived, we have undermined, No way. Jesus won. Everyone remembers Jesus. Everyone remembers the Buddha. Then the trio means the desire causes that hesitation, and because of the hesitation, I want to repeat that desire. That is explained differently in Gita by the Krishna. So we will, when once we go there too, we'll talk. So three pairs are there: impurities, likes and dislikes, desire, hesitation, repeat desire. It is the trio, and again the pair. Another pair is the ego and the selfishness. So when I am selfish, I cannot perceive, cannot digest how you are a contributor. My mind is totally wiped out. I cannot see how you can be a contributor. How come? The guy thinks I'm already a millionaire. I cannot spare even a single penny, and this guy is only earning a couple of $1,000 and he is a contributor. I cannot digest in the face of ego. In the face of the ego, I cannot digest. So where I cannot digest, my ego boosts. Look at this guy. He claims that he is a contributor. Come on. You contribute emotionally and mentally, even if you don't have a penny, that has more value than you having $1 million and you don't contribute even a single penny. This is the message. Now, this master puts a very important point. He says that these trio and the two pairs you experience in the waking state, you don't experience in the sleep and the dream state. And even if you experience those things in the dream state, it doesn't make any difference. Because the moment you move to the waking state from the dream, those pairs of opposites are gone. So then he makes a point that waking state, it means I'm an observer. I live my life consciously from moment to moment since I wake up in the morning until I retire. Now he comes to the another point. So what happens with these likes and dislikes, desire, hesitation, and repeat desire, ego, and the selfishness? So now I'm going to another master who says that what we get, joy and the sorrow, first pair, likes and dislikes, another pair, jealousy and the hatred, third pair. So from the likes and dislikes, you have a strong likes and dislikes, and because of you see that I like something. I like to eat, say for example, the pasta, or go the other way. I eat pasta and I enjoy. So enjoy contains the element of a liking. And that liking and disliking, joy and the sorrow, pain and the pleasure, all are permutation and combination of satoguna, rajoguna, and tamoguna. Now, what is the result? The result is the grief and the delusion. So, we covered that topic of the grief, and we are not worthy of suffering. In the first chapter of the Gita, he directly points out. So you see that that connection has to be established. So we are just going briefly. So because I like something which may be harmful for me, I dislike something which may be good for me. In this case, Mike disliked her attitude to be a contributor because of her ego and the selfishness. And so once this event is over, he has to suffer. I will report practical. We check, we do the reality check with these people. And that's how I got 50 and 60 emails. So sometime I respond, sometime I do not respond. I just avoid. I said, this is not the time. So the grief and the delusion is one thing that takes over my life. third point that takes over my life, it is an extreme case of tamo and the rajoguna, is the hypocrisy. I talked about that hypocrisy. And other obstacles comes. What are the other obstacles? Sometimes the mind goes for an extreme sexual desire or eating, or I just lose hold of my mind. So these are other impurities that takes over my life. So here this master says that grief and the delusion we should remove by self-inquiry, listening and learning from the teacher. And we have been covering, and still we are covering in the second chapter. So grief and the delusion can only be removed by knowledge, by self-inquiry, by understanding the cause and effect relationship. So there he says hypocrisy can be removed by serving the noble ones. He uses the noble ones. Anyone can be a noble one. Serving physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, offering the food, etc., etc. And other obstacles can be removed by hatha yoga and pranayama, asana, etc., etc. So the entire journey has been. Then he comes down. So he has been talking about the grief and the suffering. He says there are 4 types of suffering. Again, that I gave an example. I told you the real life story. So you have to analyze which type of the suffering he has. 4 types of the suffering. First type of the suffering is caused by other beings. So here Mike thinks that he is suffering because of her. But the other way, that he is making a great girl to suffer. It is just the opposite. Because of my ego and selfishness, I recognize that, oh, you are making me suffer, you don't listen to me, you don't understand me. And they had a verbal argument and they left each other, which they have been dating. Ego and the selfishness perceives that you are making me suffer. And she is stick on her promise to help, to remain the contributor, so she has sacrificed her life. That is going to pay her dividend. It will continue to create a favorable situation in her life. Even at the cost of your sensual pleasure, you are doing something. That is what is known as austerity and a penance. That is actually known as the austerity and a penance. So the first type of the suffering is caused by the other being. Second type of the suffering is caused by the natural events like tsunami, flood, COVID. And because of our past impressions, we get affected. Sometimes people here, I remember I told you before, he is a great entrepreneur, is a builder here. So he said, no, I don't want to take the vaccine. I said, don't take it. So if you don't want to take it, then you should be in peace and happiness. You have chosen. The mind has total, complete understanding. No, but I am scared. I said, then take it. Then take it simply. So he took it, and that fear has gone. So we should not disrespect any knowledge. Here, this is the idea. We should not disrespect any knowledge. We have to see material knowledge has its own utility. So by natural events. The third type of the suffering is due to the body. The body changes, you have physical illnesses. Third type of the suffering. And fourth type of the suffering, because of the ignorance. We are ignorant since our birth. You get the picture, entire picture. So once we get the entire picture of likes and dislikes, the triune, the joy and the sorrow, hatred and the jealousy, and then ultimately we find the grief and the delusion and the hypocrisy and the other obstacles, and we came to the four types of the suffering. The entire spectrum is run, the entire show is run by the three gunas. And who is the head of the three guna? Ego. So this is briefly from the two texts. I summarized this. Anytime, anywhere, in any condition, in my personal, professional, and social and family life, first thing is to be self-aware. What is happening in terms of my thoughts and feeling towards a person or my honey or my kids? I should be aware. Then only I can be aware whether I'm moving in my thought, speech, and action, whether it is I'm moving with the satoguna or the rajoguna and the tamoguna. Otherwise,
so for like an awakened being person, master, the gunas are always happening, but they would just be above them, right? Unaffected.
Yeah, Krishna, Master.
But the gunas are part of existence.
Yeah.
How it works.
Yeah. Guna is a part of the material world, or you can say guna is a part of the non-self. The real self is not touched by these three gunas at all. So that is why one definition of awakening, that you have transcended the three gunas, means what? You have a clarity of perception of the real self sitting at the center, and these three gunas are working. Let them work. You are neither attached nor detached. You don't have a liking or a disliking. So what happens? The real self, when it expresses through these three gunas, are always spontaneous, natural. You take a decision of difficult problem in a minimum time with maximum ease. Means the mind is very clear. You know how to do the permutation and combination of sato, rajo, and tamoguna in your thought, in your speech, in your action. So you have a clarity. That clarity makes you a mind reader. So we normally say it is a power. Yes, those who get these powers, it is possible to get those powers, but ultimately you lose that power. You lose that power. So in this text, seeker understands, and seeker says, I will abide by them. I am still working on them, and I will continue to work on them. You have shown me the path that is very clear and focused to remove the ignorance, to really realize the real self. In summarizes, which I covered in almost 26 sessions. Well, there are many other aspects of it, which I just, I thought it summarized. Now just in the Gita, in the verse number 45, chapter 2. Chapter 2, we briefly deal with the three gunas. So there, the master says to the seeker that you are above these three gunas. How to deal with the three gunas? You cannot see them. You cannot see the three gunas. They are invisible. But you can feel the impact. How do you feel the impact? What I have already explained. Likes and dislikes, hate and jealousy, hypocrisy, grief and the delusion. When I experience, these are the symptoms, these are the manifestation of the three gunas. So Master says, please free yourself from the pairs of opposites. No, unless we have a clear background, then these verses can make a sense. So in this 45th verse, He says the entire Eastern wisdom explains about the three gunas. O seeker, be transcend all the three gunas. And then he instantly says you get free. Free yourself from the pairs of opposites. Why? It will help you to live in a dominant satoguna. Why? Because now, because of the karma yoga, you have become the highest level of a seeker. Free yourself from all the anxieties, or means anxiety due to the fear, due to the reaction, due to the hesitation. So even when you start removing these dualities and the pairs of opposites, it helps you to reduce and minimize the occurrence of the anxiety, duality, conflict, sleep disturbances. They come, they follow you. They follow you. You live into the same level of energy. There is another part that every master explains in the with reference to this 45th verse. So these masters, including Dayanand, also explained in Tejamaya, this Chinmayanand. Even my master used to say that tamas guna pushes one to do those activities which are prohibited, which goes against the universal laws. And you start going down. Your intellect claims I have understood, but tamoguna puts you down. Rajoguna drives one towards the actions driven by the sensual desires. Desire prompted actions is the mainstay of Rajoguna. It leads to immediate pleasure, and then it is lost. Then we are frustrated. Whether it has to do with the sexual desire, or whether it has to do with the food, or whether it has, oh, I got the money, and the next day you lost the money. Immediate pleasure. So it is exciting, my friend. It is very exciting. Oh, you're talking of the Satoguna and the peace and the happiness. It gives the result much later. Why it gives the result much later? Because of you, because of your personality, because of your attitude. Not because that it does not give a result instantly. It can give you the result instantly because you are not able to manage Tamoguna and the Rajoguna. But the Rajoguna keeps you excited. That's why, every meeting, are you excited? Many people contact me and the first time they say, oh, good to see you. Are you excited? I say, why should I be excited? No, if you're not excited, then it's better to leave the session. Then I cannot guide you to how to earn money. I said, I'm okay with myself. I'm okay with myself. I don't need to be excited. I should want to move with the calmness and peace. So that is one way to explain. It's a huge topic, and the Satoguna makes one stick to karma yoga. What is my duty? I do it without fail every day in my personal, professional, social, and family life. In my personal life, I don't leave the meditation at any cost. I always listen, contemplate. I find the time every day to contemplate and reflect. I can skip the sleep, but I don't leave that contemplation and reflection. And in my family life, I do the karma yoga, the attitude in the mind, and I don't expect the result, keeping that attitude. That attitude is nothing but the satoguna. You can say it is the satoguna. Satoguna means what? What is right and good. I put myself in front of the knowledge. This needs to be done. Oh, in this relationship, this needs to be done. So I'm doing this. I never forget. So it is you see when you do the nitya karma or the karma yoga, the first set of the karma yoga that you are doing a prescribed duties, like it's a prescription medicine. Why you follow the prescription medicine? Because you want to get rid of the tamoguna, and also you bring the rajoguna down under the influence of the satoguna. If we don't do it, we don't purify the mind, we don't live into higher awareness, we don't live into the higher awareness, then having that understanding and idea, it is good to have. From the verse number 62 to maybe 5 or 6 verses in the chapter 2. So that first the master, the way of teaching is totally different of the Krishna. Krishna has told you the instant result, benefit. This is the way you have to do it. And now he explains what happens. So his explanation is that first you wake up in the morning, then you are aware of the objects and people, you have a thought. So that thought causes the likes and dislikes. Either the thought contains the like element or dislike. Because of the like and dislike, you keep on thinking about likes and dislikes. I'm touching briefly. So because of constant thinking about likes and dislikes, you have an attachment or detachment. From the attachment and detachment, the desire is born. So there we instantly talk about the desire. Here, he has explained little deeper. You say you are sitting and you say, okay, it's a hot and let me have a cold water. We don't notice, but it has a liking in it. It has already a liking in it. Now I have taken a cold water a couple of times. Now it has become a new normal, which I say, no, it has nothing to do with the likes and dislikes. It's a casual. No, it's not casual. There are millions of things and attitude in our life which has so-called become casual based on the likes and dislikes. It's a very subtle level of awareness. We
probably design our whole lives around it.
Whole life. So now, because we always keep on thinking both about the likes and dislikes. I want to keep a distance with this guy, dislike. I want to be closer and near to this guy, likes. Same thing with the food situation, event, etc., etc. So that creates a set of millions of impressions of attachment and detachment. So you have what? You have already a raw material present in the mind to have a desire. Sometimes I was surprised that why I have a desire for having this. Why I have a desire for so no, it's nothing to be surprised. I practiced it for years and years with the likes and dislikes and attachment and detachment. Now here our master beautifies the journey. He says, now, first thing that you live consciously in a waking state, you take stock of the likes and dislikes. So at the first instant, it is very easy for you to destroy the likes and dislikes. But if it has become an attachment and detachment, it has reached to a level of a desire, it is very challenging. It is difficult, but not impossible. So that we will take up later, because desire lives in the sense organ, desire lives in the mind, desire lives in the intellect. So when the desire lives in the, no, I'm just summarizing from other verses. If the desire lives in the sense organ, it is very easy. You can close the eyes instantly and then you contemplate and reflect. But now desire has taken its root in the mind. It has reached to a stage of saturation of attachment and detachment. Then it is damn difficult. And it is the most difficult when the intellect says, I have a desire to achieve this thing. Now the intellect is already polluted. And then it becomes very challenging and difficult. That takes years and months and weeks to change that. So now you see that whether you are the highest level of a seeker, but the desire has taken a very strong root in the intellect, forget about it. It will definitely take, and that he is a professor of it. He is a professor. Professors are always work through the intellect. So now his intellect has already taken a route. Then what, Well, no need to. Go after her. I'll find other. You have failed in finding for the last 12 years. You missed an opportunity. So that will add other types of, that will add another set of impressions. So you have already created an unfavorable situation. Who knows? You find another girl who knows this girl. Oh, no, don't go to that. Don't talk to that guy. Existence does its tricks. We don't know. And then we start fighting with those people. Oh, you said this. That's why. No, it has to be done with existence. Did we plan to meet together? You continued your session, you have left it and you started again. It is all done by the existence. So that's why we teachers are always free. You come and join, very good. You don't come and join, it. But yes, we have to take care of our maintenance. That is important. So that is one side of the story, that you intellectually, mindfully think that you are just at the borderline of transcending the three gunas in your professional life. So now come back to this. So we have a desire. Now desire has taken root. Now desire is fulfilled, is known as the greed. Desire not fulfilled, known as the grief or stress and suffering. So Krishna says your desire is now fulfilled because the intellect has a domination of that desire. You keep on fulfilling that desire. Once you fulfill the desire, once you go to the restaurant, you like pasta and you enjoyed that, and then you want to go back again. So it's a repeat desire. That is the greed. So we say it's a repeat desire, that is the greed. Now I am caught by the greed. But deeper inside, it is the Rajo and Tamoguna is working. It is the Rajo and Tamoguna is working. And I don't recognize. I fail to appreciate that because of Rajo and Tamoguna, I am repeating my desire again and again. That's not fair. Let me give a break. It never comes to my mind. Mike, it never struck to his mind. And we say, I'm very intelligent. So that is what the intellectual paralysis is. And now the same thing happens if the desire is not fulfilled. You have anxiety, you have grief, you have stress, you have tiredness, you have fatigue, you have unnecessary, unwanted thinking, thought pattern. The honey comes to you, don't disturb me, I'm just thinking something. Because you are frustrated. Why you are frustrated? You made a tremendous effort, but it is not the cup of your tea. Why? Because of the past impression. Tamasic and the Rajasic guna is prohibiting you to achieve that. So sometimes sometimes you have seen people claim that I have made lot of effort, there is nothing in it except. Now see what happens. He does not stop there. He says because of their stress and agitation, you find that is a new normal in your life. That is what the delusion is. That is the delusion is. That is the delusion is. So you see that? If I say likes and dislikes, so likes and dislikes are in the form of a thought process. That thought repeats itself. It becomes attachment and detachment. Attachment, detachment, thoughts repeats itself. It becomes a desire. So once we reach to level of a desire in the intellect, we have two options. It is overpowered. That desire overpowers the intellect. So now the intellect says, make an effort. So I fulfill the desire, greed. I want to repeat it again. I want to replicate. That is what the marketing is. In any field, Marketing is nothing but replication. Oh, I found this is the right way. Many people send me the message, and yeah, you can earn, I know what is it, 120K, and I'm not interested. And they get upset. So they have a wrong notion, as if I have a lot of money. Let them have wrong notion, but I'm very clear. I'm not interested in that. Whatever, I'm able to support my team in India, let them promote whatever they get, at least I'm able to feed myself, maintain myself. So pay attention to intellect, and if it is not fulfilled, then I have hesitation, stress, and anger. All comes together. I feel that I'm worthy of suffering. That is what the delusion is. But he doesn't stop at the delusion. That is extremely important. What he says, because of the delusion, you have a loss of memory. Loss of memory of these principles of Eastern wisdom, even if you have studied for 10 years. People say, no, I have studied 10 years. You are still in a loss of memory. You have not progressed at all. So we understand. We already observed. Very good. You're doing 10 years. Very good. Instead of saying anything, we appreciate it. Thank you. You have done 10 years. I have not done it. Loss of memory means you forget those principles which helps you to grow, create a favorable situation. Take the case of Mike again. His parents objected, he discussed with me. He agreed to me. He had a wonderful relationship. And at the second point, he forgot. That's why I gave you the story. You can just analyze. I can give you many, many stories. Oh, loss of memory. But he goes to the extreme. He says loss of memory destroys your power of dispassion and discernment. What happened? You go back to the first level. Why? Destruction of, he uses the word, very strong word. You destroy the power of discernment and dispassion, and because of that destruction, your life perishes. So here the word perishes means you continue to feel tired, fatigued, agitated, a long list. All factors which your mind claims you are worthy of the suffering, but you don't recognize it is happening in your mind. It is because of the ignorance, and these are all the plays of the three gunas. Three gunas deeper inside. Likes and dislikes, three gunas. Greed, three gunas. Greed, rajoguna. Anger, hesitation, stress, tamoguna. We don't want to see that. So in all the symptoms we experience, these play of the three guna. And what is the play of the three guna? How the three gunas creates an entity. What is that entity? That is your ego. That is your I-ness. That is your false I. That is your individual self. That is why you say, I'm suffering. Who is this I suffering? It is the individual self. Whether you say it's an ego. Remember, my friend, the last point is also very important. We are not talking of that ego, and the opposite of that ego is the humility in the social professional life. We are not talking of that. We are talking of that ego as an entity created by these three gunas. So that ego, no, oh no, you have been very tough, so no, then I bring my tone down, and then I see that I am very humble now. So that is a hypocrisy. We are not talking of that. We're not talking of that. We're not talking of that. We are talking of an entity created by the three gunas, which runs, which maintains and sustains his long family children and the grandchildren and the grandchildren. We don't recognize it, and because we don't recognize it, we suffer, and ultimately we say, I am worthy of the suffering at any point in your life. How can you be worthy of suffering? There is no chance.